We get a heartwarming moment for all Canucks fans when Roberto Luongo hoisted the Stanley Cup with the Florida Panthers, and he had a great message to all Canucks fans. And we also get a huge report that Tyler Toffoli is on the Canucks radars and how he might be the perfect fit. We'll get into that later on this episode. Before I start, I just want to say shout out to 2,700 of you guys. We're trying to reach 3,000 before free agency. So if you guys haven't subscribed yet, make sure to go down, hit that subscribe button. We'll be all off season in the next season, giving you updates from all around the Canucks. But with that, let's hop straight into the first topic today, which I'm sure everyone's super happy about. Roberto Luongo wins Lord Stanley. And if you watch the game at all, we seen Canada's team, the Florida Panthers, won the Stanley Cup, and we got this great moment of Bobby Lou hoisting the cup, finally getting to put the cup over his head. It would have felt great being on the Canucks, but just seeing him win the Stanley Cup is just an awesome moment, and the quote is even better. We get the quote from him on the interview saying, "I just want to thank the people of Vancouver for their support. I'm so truly grateful for them. I always enjoy going back there." And Griffin, this is just an awesome message coming from Roberto Luongo, giving a shout out to his former team, his former fans, and fans of him still. What's your thoughts on all of this as well?
It's great to see. It's amazing to see as a hockey fan. Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. You can't ask for anything more, no matter who's playing in it. We'd love for the Canucks to have been playing in it and for Luongo to be in our front office doing it. However, he did get to do it with the team that he played for, and it was amazing of him to show that love for Vancouver and not forget where he came from. I know he started in Florida and then went to Vancouver, then back to Florida, but he still had a very strong career in Vancouver and never forgot where he came from. And another person who never forgot where he came from, that was an amazing moment to see as a hockey fan, was Paul Maurice finally getting his first Stanley Cup as well. Very long overdue. He started his career in Windsor as a player and his coaching career after a career-ending eye injury, and then he just worked his way up through the Windsor coaching staff and just made his way to the NHL, or the AHL, then the NHL from there. So it was an amazing moment seeing him and giving that shout out to his dad. Bring a tear to your eye, and seeing Luongo as well, someone who I admired as a kid so much growing up, and seeing he was the first goalie to ever have the captaincy during my lifetime, and like seeing that happen and going from losing in Game 7 to getting to the Stanley Cup final and winning it for once, like it was, and seeing him fire up the crowd, like it was just unbelievable. It was a great night for hockey. It was a great night for Canucks fans to see the Oilers lose and to see the Florida Panthers come out victorious. I was thrilled. It was amazing to watch.
Yeah, I remember the first NHL game I ever seen live was the St. Louis Blues in Vancouver. I watched Luongo get a shutout 4-0. The crowd was screaming Lou. Just seeing him hoist the Stanley Cup, obviously I wish it was in a Canucks jersey. I have Luongo in the background somewhere behind me holding the gold medal. He's my favorite goaltender of all time. And just seeing this moment, just experience him finally lifting the cup after the devastating 2011, which we won't talk about. Just seeing this was a great moment. But there's also another former Canucks player that is currently on the roster for the Florida Panthers, and I believe he's the first Canucks player, the first player to ever be on a Canucks payroll to win the Stanley Cup, and of course that's OEL because he's currently on the buyout for the Canucks and affecting their salary cap at the moment. So shout out you, OEL, because you are technically still a Vancouver Canuck. What were your guys' thoughts on Bobby Lou finally hoisting the cup? Did it bring a tear to you guys? Are you happy that Canada's team beat the Edmonton Oilers? Let us know down in the comments. But we'll get straight into the second topic today, which is the Canucks are in on Tyler Toffoli. Now, we got a report from Donnie and Dolly on their podcast that said the Canucks are looking at Tyler Toffoli if he does hit free agency. Now, obviously, Tyler Toffoli, a former 30-goal scorer. It's a guy that can score 20 goals for you. He is getting up in age, just at 32, which still has a lot of years left. He's a big body. He might not be the fastest player, but he knows how to produce. This is a guy that has won a Stanley Cup when he played on that 70s line during his time in LA. It's a guy that can bring experience to this roster, a guy that made a run with a young Montreal Canadiens team just back in the bubble. Getting a guy like Tyler Toffoli on this team might be a good fit, especially if they're looking at moving on from the Jake Guentzel rumors or anything else. And just Griffin, what's your thoughts on Tyler Toffoli's fit on this team, especially with reports coming out that the Canucks are in on him?
I think it would be a great fit for Vancouver. He's been there with a brief stint before. He played with Quinn Hughes, and it goes to show, like I said in our last video, that Vancouver is dedicated to building this team around Quinn Hughes. And if you bring a guy like Toffoli, yes, he's not as fast as Guentzel, We know that, but he does put up production. He is going to make things happen. I think on a team where he's going to contribute to that chemistry in a way that Jake Gensel I don't think will be able to. And when you have guys like Elias Pettersson, who was there when he was there, when you have a guy like Brock Boeser, who was also there when he was there, I think Toffoli will be a great fit as far as team locker room presence and morale, and just having that veteran championship presence who's been there, he's done that, he's bought the t-shirt, he wants to go back. He wants to taste that Stanley Cup victory again. So I think that would be an amazing fit for Vancouver. And I think the writing has kind of been on the wall since the rumors started coming out that the Canucks were interested in Toffoli. Because when we look at that graphic where you see how much cap space they would have if they go and get Gensel, they're not going to have too much room to work with and go after guys like Zadorov, Joshua, and all the other ones that they're going to have to try and keep because they're such bigger pieces of the puzzle. So I think if you can reduce this, if you can take a compromise as far as speed goes in a guy like Toffoli over a guy like Gensel and save almost $3 million there, or $2 million, I should say, you are going to benefit a bit more from that as well. So I think Toffoli would be a great fit for this Vancouver team. I would be excited to see him back in a Vancouver Canucks jersey, and I think fans would too. Maybe not his age is a bit of a concern for people, but I think everyone has a chance at a late career surge, and I think Vancouver would be the perfect place for him to do that.
Yeah, because the biggest thing is you're looking at Tyler Toffoli. We're getting so many rumors on Jake Gensel looking for $9 million, $9.5, maybe even 10, depending on what market he goes to. Tyler Toffoli is a guy coming off his $4.2 million contract. Obviously, this was signed with the Montreal Canadiens. We've seen him go to the New Jersey Devils. Now he's on the Winnipeg Jets, and if he does hit free agency, obviously he's going to be looking for another big contract. But if you can bring a guy like Tyler Toffoli in for half the price of Jake Gensel, still work your way around a lot of the forward free agents you have. I mean, obviously Dakota Josh was a big one. You have a guy like Teddy Bluger, that would be awesome to get back. Just getting these guys back and still saving cap room where you're only looking at 18.5 with their recent signings. They still need to fill out the defense, backup goaltending, and everything in between. So getting a guy like Toffoli in for, say, $4.5, $5 million, a guy that can produce in your middle six, maybe this is the winger that it just kind of ignites Petey, gets him back onto his 100-point seasons. And Griffin, where would you like to see him in this lineup, especially with a lot of the forwards still yet to be signed? Where do you think Toffoli would fit best, and who would be the best line mates for him?
I think Toffoli would fit in great on that second line should they not be able to keep Joshua. If he can play with Connor Garland, I think that would be a bit of a seat filler in a way for Joshua, because he's not going to be as physical as Joshua, but Garland does have the speed. So if you have him with the production and Garland with the speed, and then you're able to have Pia Suter in the middle of that, we know Elias Lindholm is probably going to be leaving. Or if they go and get another center, where there's a lot of center free agents out there where you could maybe bring in on a short-term deal, maybe they go and do that. But I think on the first line, I think that first line is definitely Petey's, Miller, and Boeser's line. Don't forget that Boeser was only gone from that last game because of an injury. I think Boeser, Petey, and Miller is still the top line on this team. So I think just having that next season where Petey's going to have that fire up under his butt, I think it's definitely going to help him play better. And I think Boeser is definitely going to want to play better as well, because we've seen all these guys have career years last year, and they're going to want to build upon that. So I think there's no worry there as far as Petey's concerned, but I think really on that second and third line is where you're going to find Toffoli, I think, fitting in the most and being the best contributor.
Because the big thing is, too, a lot of people keep forgetting, they say, hey, the Canucks had a disappointing season, whatever they want to say about it. The Canucks took the current team that just took the Florida Panthers to 7-game series as well. They were right on the crisp. This could have been the Canucks in the finals battling against the Florida Panthers. They were one goal away. So adding middle six scoring, depth scoring is something they need to do. Obviously, they need to add on the power play as well. So bringing in a guy like Toffoli would be awesome. A name I kind of want to just kind of throw out as well. Connor Brown would be an excellent fit. He's a fast player. He can kill penalties. We've seen him score some big ones for the Oilers just in the last few games. So bringing in depth scoring is something the Canucks need to do. But what's your guys' thoughts on this? Who is your top targets in free agency? Would it be Toffoli, Jake Gensel, or someone maybe we haven't listed? Let us know down in the comments. But speaking of comments, let's get into everyone's favorite topic, which is comment of the the day. The comment today comes from Just a Canuck, and he says he's from New Brunswick, also aware that I'm a Canucks fan, but in the 1990 and 2000s, I was watching a game and Big Bird and was absolutely dominating the game. Jovo Cop was destroying people. They were my players that I started following back then, and it's just awesome to see everyone from the West Coast straight to the East Coast, and I'm in Newfoundland becoming a Canucks fan. Well, always been a Canucks fan, but being a Canucks fan, just seeing people all over Canada enjoy this team, rooting for this team, and hopefully be able to watch this team make a deep run next year in the Stanley Cup Finals, kind of like the Oilers did. Hopefully we can knock them out in 4 next year. But if you guys want to be featured on the next comment of the day, just like your friend Just a Canuck did today, make sure to go down and leave a comment. You could be featured. While you're down there, leave a like, share this with your friends. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow on. I'm sure there's going to be 100 more rumors coming out, so keep an eye out for that. But I've been your host with Mark with my co-host Griffin. Take care.